Let's do it. Denver versus Skillous. Now this one's going to be a little more complicated. The rest of the series, definitely a little more obvious who's going to win. This one kind of depends on their particular feelings about the matchup, I think. In the bottom left of Everdream, for game number 1, it is Denver. In the top right, as the red Protoss, we have Skillous. For Cascade. I thought Denver was on a team, but I don't remember what it is. Maybe he left it recently? Oh yeah, I thought he was sponsored by Coca. But I read this and I was like, TKP. It's almost like TKL, the other French cats here, but I don't know what TCAP stands for. Oh, it's... I don't know what the T stands for. Yeah, so cap would be the Coca Authentique Pépite. But I don't know what the T stands for. The? Or maybe just team? Maybe it just stands for team. Anyways, we got that covered, so yeah. Pretty cool. You got casters and tournament organizers sponsoring players. That's pretty cool. Skillous has been on Cascade forever. Hopefully they treat him well. And Skillous has really been on the up and up. More recently, I think, than Denver. Denver has also been on the up and up. But I remember casting him 5 years ago, probably, at this point. Doing pretty well and kind of being a bit of a flash onto the scene. Skillous, I think, has taken a little bit more time. And maybe the last 3 years has really started to grow. Just shows, I guess, how many people are still at the top, that these guys who are very good, and who were very good even that long ago, still aren't to be top. Denver seems to have just, he's at that point, it feels like, where he is almost, like, he's an amazing macroer. He obviously gets the game, he has some variety in the game, he's got a cool couple things, he's one of those guys who can actually do burrowed banelings and all that good stuff, but he has maybe, like, major flaws, as opposed to being, like, steady, but, you know, like a Namshar would be just someone who's like really steady, not really a whole lot of flash, not that fantastic, doesn't have a lot of peaks, but doesn't have any valleys either, right? It's kind of standard. You know what you get. But for Denver, I feel like he's like a really, really, really good standard, and then there's a couple of valleys for him that bring him down. And one of those things happens to be Adepts, so that's why I'm bringing it up, not just to be like, yeah, Denver, fix him. No, it's actually... because we're going to have this. It was almost inevitable. It's Skillous, who plays against Denver probably a decent amount in these tournaments, and also on ladder. It's PvZ, where Adepts are still very popular. And it's Everdream, which also feels like a very popular Adepts map. Now, servers are getting better against Adepts. And they're predicting the follow-ups as well a lot better. But it's still complicated, because there are just a couple of things that you can't read absolutely perfectly. Although this Overlord did get a very nice scout. So he saw Twilight Council, and he saw guys still in that one gas. So, if you're going to do just 4 Gateway Adepts, it seems to be take 2 out. 1 at each gas, take 2 of them out. And then go into a Robo, and then a bit of a faster third Nexus. If you're going to go into a follow-up Robo Bay, with that Robo, as well as, you know, the Dark Shrine build, which we see here, then you want to go ahead and, keep those guys on gas. But this is actually different. You know, I brought up that Robo, and I'm like, well, there's not one, so... I assumed Skillous had a different plan in mind. He didn't just forget a Robo. It'd be a pretty big deal. And he certainly does have a different plan in mind. So, Denver gets in there and scouts Twilight Council, and might be assuming that it's Resonant Glaives, just because, well, you know, that's what's in the meta right now. When he didn't see a Robo placed down with that, which usually the Robo and the Twilight Council come down very similar time for both Adept and DT builds. And now a Stalker is stopping him from seeing that Dark Shrine, but he sees a fast third? He saw that fast third? This is a new build for me personally, so I am, I'm wondering if Denver has it all together. Huh. So I'm not familiar with this build, but I am intrigued. So Denver did read it as not being Resident Enclaves. I mean, he kind of had eyes on the not researching Twilight Council, so I guess that was the most important scout he had. I was just so bewildered by the rest of the build that I was like, not even paying attention. So the Twilight Council wasn't researching, and that was something the Overlord could dip in a second and see. So he knew it wasn't Resident Enclave, so he hasn't super overreacted yet, but he's got to be still curious to what it is. He can topple that depth very, very easily. Made Lings, but didn't bother making a Spine Crawler, which can be a defense against Adepts. Didn't make Roaches as soon as he could, which is also something you want against Adepts. Now, he knew it wasn't Resident Enclaves. Still got 3 Spore Crawlers, because if the Twilight Council's out researching, what else could it possibly be doing? You know it, we know it, I know it, he does it. Yeah, it's going to be Dark Shrine. And then goes into a lair once he kind of figures out what's going on. So he is set up to deal with DTs to a degree, but I mean, he certainly didn't punish Skillous for anything. Skillous got a really nicely timed 3rd Nexus, one of those 3rd Nexus that usually only come down with a Stargate opener, and has access to Archons, and has one of the best harassment tools possible, DTs with Blink, and is also still going to have Immortals and Blink Stalkers in +1. His army is still a little weak, because I think he got a lot, and Denver is finally like, okay, like, whatever, I know what's happening here, I got an Overseer, let's do this. But I feel like if he just buys 30 more seconds, his gate was going to kick in, his upgrade's going to kick in, and he'll be fine. Right? I can't tell if this has actually been Skillous' plan from the very beginning, or if he is reacting off of the Overlord Scout, but I kind of get it. I see it. I see the potential here. Drones are already going down, and the DT snuck its way across the map. Blink is available, but blinks into a bunch of Lings. 9 drones go down. That's pretty nice, but Lings are in that 3rd base. How is the main fight going? A couple of force fields being thrown down, segmenting away those Ravagers, but even Queens have come forward here. Denver, once he got up to about 60 drones, he was like, let's do this. Now he's down to sub 50. He is much more all-in than he was even to start this off with. Immortals are the first thing target fired. Archon getting some pretty nasty shots. 4 shield batteries really helping out there a fuck ton. And now the Queens are even under fire. They've used up all of their transfuses, it looks like, so they're pretty much dead weight, and yeah, Denver's attack did not work. Not even getting that last Archon. He did grab 12 probes, but because he also took worker damage, it still definitely isn't favorable. Even if Denver was at 60 drones, he doesn't have an upgrade. He's stuck on Roach Ravager, no Baneling Nest, no 4th base. Yeah, this is a... That was a hold. That was definitely a hold from Skillous, and now he just needs to make sure to follow up swiftly. Very nicely done. What a build. What an interesting thing. Huh. Very interesting. Lucid Phoenix wants to see if there's an immediate follow-up, or if it is a 4th base. No 4th base yet. I think Denver is just more so like, well, I gotta build army because he's about to counterattack me, and he's very right about that. And I think he also has to try and fit in a 4th base to continue on with this game. Either that or hope that Skillous really overcommits. He's got good creep spread to see where the army's coming in from. Where are his Overseers? He's got 2 Overseers. They're slow, so one's coming back, but those DTs not gonna go for the main army. That would be a bit dangerous. They are going to go for the natural. And while there's an Overseer and a Spore Crawler... Hello? There we go. They still can't... They don't attack. And Denver is rattling all of his units here. No 4th base. Just follow up all-in, actually. He's just following up the all-in. 4th base does come down, but still at 50 workers. This is pretty committed. And Skillous, seeing this, is like, okay, yeah, all right. I will respect this. Even though he's definitely winning. Perfectly timed DTs in the main base. I think they just ran up there, or maybe they blinked. I don't know which one, but they are there. They did not blink. There, they blink now. Gonna grab drones, gonna grab queens, and Skillous now has to defend on his side of the map. And if he does that, he wins. With that many stalkers, I think he is okay. They're about to have +2. They're being recharged by the shield batteries, and he even has one immortal helping out. Second immortal is on the way. Charge also gets started as he rebuilds Cyber X4. He will be limited to the amount of things he can warp in. He's actually limited to just plain old zealots, which look a little bit weak right now. That maybe is a problem. More Ravage has been made. A very aggressive blink forward with that +2. And Denver doesn't really let the fight commence. He knows it's over. GG. Well played by Skillous. Very odd opener. I want to see it again. If I see it again and I'm like, okay, this is just a thing. But if I don't see it again, I feel like he just took the best out of a bad scenario. Thing is, like, depths are, like, Resident Glaives is scouted fairly often. It's kind of hard to hide that portion of the build. The Resident Glaives portion. You can try and hide the Dark Shrine or the Follow Robo Bay or what have you, but Resident Glaives is usually scouted. And, I mean, simply, like, the simple thing is he didn't put down a Robo at any time. Where the Robo would come down pretty quickly with either DT drops or Resident Glaives or anything, really. So that is what I think makes it an actual build. Like, I think he didn't just react. I think he actually does this. Yeah. Denver saying shield battery. 4 shield batteries were very, very good there. Very, very good. And he was so far away from them, too. He couldn't corrosive bile them down. Thank you, Hegswag, for the 3-month resub. Funny thing is, it really wasn't the DTs that did Denver in, I don't think. It didn't help him. But even if he had 60 drones doing that attack, I think Skillous was defending far too well. Well, now we're on to Ice and Chrome. In the top right is the blue Zerg. It is Denver. In the bottom left is the red Protoss. It is Skillous. And, well, I was pointing out Denver's perhaps dislike, to put it lightly, of Adepts. In general, it does seem like Denver's early to mid-game ZVP is maybe where he's still a little weak. If he plays a straight-up macro game, gets into the mid to late game, I think Denver is the better player of these two. But when it comes to the early to mid game, playing perfectly against what the Protoss can throw at him, or doing his own mid-game all-in, I mean, clearly he's good at doing them. It just is one of those, like, what's better, your macro or your pressure? And I think Denver is more of a macro guy in my head, at the very least, in my brain. And I will say that while I'm not giving his EVP a lot of credit, it is still, I think, one of his better matchups. I am talking a lot in comparisons when I bring up what he's weak to. But I think ZVT actually might be his weakest one. So ZVP, it just feels like if he gets a handle on things, he's very, very strong. If he is a little thrown off, he needs to recover. He needs a little bit of time to recover. So it is kind of up to Skillous in general. In this matchup, it is up to the Protoss to throw off the Zerg player. So what is Skillous going to be doing here? Got a fast third hatch from Denver that Skillous could eventually scout. He's trying to be cool and probe block the minerals. Who's cool? Skillous is cool. So cool. Oh my god. Finally takes the minerals in his little probe mouth. Isn't that kind of cute? Like, Terrans have drills, and they have like a claw, so that's how they pick up minerals. And drones use their claws too. They don't bite it, or not supposed to bite it. And then probes literally have like a taser on their mouth. And then when it's done, it like attaches to it like magnetic. And it's like when a dog picks up a toy, it's really kind of actually cute. Probes are cute if they weren't such big assholes. Stargate opener from Skillous. So, funnily enough, if Denver doesn't get a quick scout into the main, and he sees a third Nexus go down really fast, like 330 or 4, he could misread this as a similar build to last, right? Because that last build, the DT thing, not only was confusing because DT's and DT blink and no robo, but it was also like, wow, that's actually a fairly well-timed third Nexus. Like, geez. Dev's barely escaping there, and actually supposed to lose it, so good thing. And then he goes for Void Ray. Alright, so Void Ray has had its cost change. It is base speed a little bit faster. Doesn't need Flux Veins. They kept the base speed increase in the buff, and then they stopped the Flux Veins thing, which I'm very glad. I didn't think Flux Veins would be even faster. But most importantly, it's a little bit cheaper. It was like 275, 200, I don't know, it was like insanely expensive back in the day. But now it's 200 something. So it's cheaper. They wanted a little more versatility with the Void Ray in the early game, I think was their reasoning. So now we will probably see a return of the Void Ray first, which was a thing every now and again. But I'm not sure it'll actually stick. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people are going to be like, yeah, it's worth trying, because that's what happens when a balance patch comes out. And then they'll be like, actually, no, this is still way more ideal. But we'll see. This is the first time I've seen the Stargate opener from a professional since the buff, to be honest. I guess I didn't cast many PvZs with DreamHack qualifiers. Yeah, because, I mean, it came in on Friday anyway, so it would have been like only 3 DreamHack qualifiers. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've seen it. If it was a regular Stargate opener, I wouldn't have thought about it, but yeah, Skillous trying with the Void Ray. Gonna go into a second Void Ray. This, I mean, they killed Overlords. They can do harassments, although they're not very dependable for that. And they take care of early roaches really well, too. Far better than Phoenixes or Oracles will. So some of the things to consider here. Ends up holding against the Ling run by. Nexus was healthy enough anyways, but the Oracles did have to come back. Second Void Ray's on the way. I was wondering, like, first Void Ray to do the whole defense plus kill Overlord Scout, okay, fine. Second Void Ray? Like, that's not really necessary, so I was wondering. And it is a third Void Ray and a second Stargate. Okay, alrighty. And a Fleet Beacon. One of the ways I've seen a couple of Protoss actually play on Ice and Chrome. The same way that we see Terrans do mech on Ice and Chrome a decent amount. I feel like this is the Ice and Chrome Protoss build. Which is the Void Rays, or Mass Phoenix, either one, but, the Stargates very quickly. Getting to carries very quickly. 2 Void Rays should cause a little bit of an alarm for Denver. He should be like, why 2 Void Rays? And get a scout in at some point. But right now, Denver is probably more focused on getting his feet underneath him, getting his economy up and his macro up. So far, a decent defense against the Oracles. They kill 1 Queen, but one of them dies. Still better for the Zerg. 4th base, 63 drones. Probably going to up to 70 or even 75. Maybe even 80 when he realizes what he's up against, and I think he already has. 3 Void Rays. I guess he did the math. 1 killed an Overlord. 2 showed themselves in the Lings. Realizing, maybe I need something a little bit extra. So, you know when I said the Queen dying for an Oracle would have been better for the Zerg? I did not really consider the follow-up attack. Yeah, alrighty then. Interesting, kind of like when you target a Queen when your mutas are on the way. So that lack of an extra Queen is kind of a big deal. One of the Void Rays does go down, but it's instantly replaced by a third one. Still not enough to tackle the 2 Spore Pros that finish up. Denver, a little late to the response, yet still quicker than me, who is literally watching this game. It took me 20 seconds longer than Denver to be like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a possibility. Unfortunately for Denver, he needed to be 20 seconds faster than that to actually save his 4th hatch. He does go down. He manages to save 3 out of 4 of those Void Rays. A bit nasty. This also took all of the pressure off of Skillous' side of the map. So Skillous is now building up to carriers. He has not been scouted quite yet, although I really think Denver should have an idea. And they managed to get some army up, but it was caught completely by surprise. Completely surrounded by +1 melee. Yeah, those are going to go down. If they're tucked into a corner, it's a decent army, but so be it. 4th Nexus gets slapped down. Denver, as I said, probably realizing, yep, that's okay. That's what it is. Has a Spire on the way. Still want to have Baneling speed. Still want to, you know, Ling run-bys are still going to be very useful, so I do still like seeing +2. And I want to see Centrifugal Hook started. But priority, I think, on the Corruptors is okay. Because he just prioritized all the macro to afford everything, eventually. He'll eventually start up everything. I brought up 80 drones. That's what he got to. 80 drones, 5 bases. Creep spread's been very good. Denver is a macro beast. Anytime I see this guy go into a late game without being perturbed, so in his EVP that happens often enough, when the Protoss player also goes for a macro game. His creep spread is good. His droning is good. His risk-taking is good. He gets to a very good macro state, and then can just pump out units. So when something happens in the earlier portion of the game, that gets thrown off. But I would say that that Void Ray bust on the 4th base wasn't even that early in the context of things, because nothing else really happened in this game. It was like, oh, that sucks, that did interrupt my economy, but I'm gonna double expand anyways, and it's not like I'm trading out a bunch of Roaches and Ravagers to do this, so. Yep. Late game ZVP coming through here. Denver making a lot of Corruptors, starting up his upgrades, getting an Infestation Pit. I wonder what his response on the ground will be, because that is still an important factor to think of. You want to take out those High Templars. You want to stop the Storms, and you want to stop the Archons too. As that's what really makes the late game possible, I feel, for Protoss. Void Rays are this new interesting addition, where if they get Flux Veins, they're very, very speedy. They can jump on top of Corruptors and actually escape from Corruptors with good micro. But that's where Corruptors also look very good in the hands of an actual pro, of someone who's very good and who's familiar with the late game, which I think Denver is. Corruptors actually look very good in terms of speed. They look like they are the easiest thing in the world to control. They're very reactive to your controls. So that's why he's trying to pop off some of these units before they make it their way across the map. And so far, he's been working out okay. Skillous is trying to counter micro with the Archons to make sure his carriers do not get bopped, but the Archons can't fly over these pillars, so it's a little bit awkward. Zealots did demolish that drone line. 16 drones go down, but at the cost of the entire ground army, as well as quite a few carriers. I would say Denver handled that very, very, very well. It might have looked initially like he went overkill on the Corruptors, but it turns out his ground army was also good enough, and Skillous, he has lost slow-building expensive units. In an attack he was hoping would surprise his opponent a little bit more. And you rarely get a second chance after that. I think he might get a second chance at a macro game here, but it's going to be tough. He's got to afford a bunch of ground units that aren't his ultimate goal. And while they killed, 15, 17 drones, he knows there's a 5th base, and he knows there's a bunch more drones elsewhere. So Skillous knows it's going to be a difficult game, even if he holds right now. Even if he holds. Archons, please, what are you doing? Not helping, that's what. Carrier goes down, as the Corruptors are now just camping the production of the carriers. Might as well cancel them, they're not going to help, they're not going to do anything. The Corruptors are literally camping you. Fucking campers. Even trying to kill the Stargates. Okay, Skillous is like, yeah, I guess I can't get them out. They would have popped, but then Denver would have canceled his peeing and killed them. So, good cancel there. Unfortunate loss of 2 Stargates on top of all the carriers going down. At least Skillous grabs a base, and with Denver at still at 70 drones, nope, he's not really mining from all of that. It's going to be oversaturated soon enough. So that's at least something there for Skillous. So Skillous also grabs his own 5th. And Skillous will have another shot in this game to go for a macro game, but it's weird. He's doing the opposite of what you would expect. He went carriers first into a ground army. Finally adding on that Storm. Gonna get the +2 weapons. He does have +2 ship weapons now too, so if he does ever get an opportunity to go back into carriers, they will be a lot stronger, I would say, than what they showcased in that first engagement. Corruptors are very, very weak, so I don't think they killed the Nexus. The recharge really helping out here. Yeah, there you go. He's going to be able to save the Nexus. Nicely done. Some harassment in the main base as 5 drones go down, and the attack in the mid-section of the map not looking quite strong enough for Denver. Bailing speed, when I was talking about it 5 minutes ago, never actually started. It started only recently, so pretty easy to avoid. They still have to take out the Zealots, just because the Zealots run into them, but pretty bold blink forward there. Guardian Shield still helping, but here come the Lings with their +2. Archon helps a lot taking those outs. When it's only Roaches and Rouges left over, the Stalkers can feel a little more comfortable in their micro ability against them. A little bit more of a concave. No Guardian Shield, lacking a shield battery, single cannon kind of helping out here. No Immortal, no Archons. Can the Roaches actually do it? They have no upgrades compared to the Blink Stalkers with their +2. Denver is on a good economy, but it's not like he's absolutely rolling in money. If he gives away these Ravagers, that would be a hefty cost. But he also did P on this Nexus, managed to kill it. The reinforcing Stalkers now trying to help out on the front lines, get caught by a bunch of Lings. The Zealots being warped in behind the Ravager to try and hold as more damage is done on the other side of the map. The Zealots still not cleaned up for Denver, and Denver taps out. GG. Skillous with the 2-0. A surprise, honestly. It was headed towards that late game. Denver's pretty good there. And he also beat back that carrier push. Had a 50 supply lead against a guy who invested into all this production for Sky Toss. I really thought Skillous was dead.